Hi, my name is Tina Foote, and I am the Secure Site Analyst. I will be going over some of the functions that you will be expected to do in the OEAA Secure Site for the Spring 2020 MME. The Secure Site is located at www.michigan.gov/OEAA-secure. The site can be accessed with your MES login and password. If you do not already have access to the Secure Site, you can still log in with your MES login and password and complete the Request Access page. This will send your request to the district administrator level user of the site for your district to approve. For full instructions on how to get access to the OEAA Secure Site, you can go to www.michigan.gov/secure site training and click on the How Do I Get Access to the Secure Site link. On the Test Center participation page on the Secure Site, schools can verify their school is identified as participating in the ACT WorkKeys, SAT, and PSAT 8 and 9 for both grades 8 and 9, and PSAT 10. You can also locate the College Board AI code in the ACT's high school code if needed. The Test Center participation page will be updated daily as ACT and College Board continue to work through their processes. The Test Center participation page is used in no way to complete the participation process with ACT and College Board. It is only used to verify the status of a school. To find the Test Center participation page, click on the Test Center participation from the Assessment Registration menu. You will select the current academic year, your ISD, district, and school. If you are a district level user of the Secure Site, you will not be required to select a school. If you wish to filter your search to a specific assessment, you can select ACT WorkKeys, SAT, PSAT 8/9 for 8, PSAT 8/9 for 9, or PSAT 10. You can select more than one of the assessments listed at a time. Once you have made your selections, click the Search button at the bottom right. The search results will list the schools based on the search criteria that you selected. You will notice that there is a separate column for each of the assessments, including a separate one for each of the grade levels for the PSAT. Schools only need to submit an intent to participate for the SAT, PSAT /8/9, PSAT 10, and ACT. It is not needed for any of the other state assessments. Another page on the OEAA Secure Site that users may find helpful is the District and School Contacts page. Contact types such as M-STEP Coordinator, PSAT 8 Test Coordinator, and so on can be viewed on the District and School Contacts page. The contact types are updated in the Educational Entity Master by the authorized district EEM user. If you find that the district and school contact information for your school or district is incorrect, you can look up your authorized EEM user from the District and School Contact page and ask them to update the EEM. Another great contact that is listed is the authorized MSDS user. MSDS is the Michigan Student Data System that districts submit the student count day data in, and OEAA uses that data for pre-identification of students, student demographics, and enrollment for accountability. We'll talk more about how OEAA uses MSDS data throughout this presentation. The Secure Site updates from the EEM nightly, so any updates to the contact information in the EEM that are made by the authorized district EEM user will be reflected on the District and School Contact page the following day. Users can also look up assessment contacts for any other district and school in Michigan on the District and School Contact page. This can be helpful if you have a student that transfers in during the assessment. You can find the assessment coordinator for the previous school on the District and School Contact page, along with their email and phone number, and contact them directly to find out which state assessments the student has already taken. To find the district and school contacts page, once logged into the secure site, select District and School Contacts from the Assessment Registration menu. You will need to select the ISD, District, and School if you would like to bring up just the one school. Remember, you can now search for any district or school contact information in Michigan, not just yours. If you wish, you can select a contact type from the drop-down to filter your search. You can only select one contact type at a time. If you do not select a contact type, the search will return with all contact types used by the assessment office. In this example, you can select the EEM authorized user to bring back only the EEM authorized user's name and contact information. Once you had made your selections, click the search button from the bottom right. The search results will be based on the selections that you made in the previous screen. From this page, you can download or print the information if needed. The contact name, phone number, and email will be filled in based on the information in the Educational Entity Master. In regards to off-site testing requests, for the SAT and PSAT, those must be submitted to College Board using their instructions. However, new for spring 2020, requests for off-site testing for the WorkKeys and M-Step will be submitted through the OEAA secure site. We are still working on the screens and it should be available starting in January. I do not have access yet to the process or screens, but once it is available, the instructions will be posted at www.michigan.gov/secure site training. All students that will be taking the SAT, WorkKeys, PSAT, and M-Step will need to be pre-identified to the appropriate tests on the secure site. On January 8, 2020, OEAA will pre-ID the bulk of the students for each public school based on the fall MSDS general collection and student record maintenance files that have been submitted in MSDS by January 3, 2020. So if your district MSDS person submits student record maintenance files to update the student enrollment on a regular basis, those students that enrolled after the fall count day will be included in the pre-identification by OEAA. Users of the secure site will have access to the pre-ID student report at 8 a.m. on January 8th. Schools are responsible for pre-identifying any additional students directly onto the secure site. Schools will receive printed barcode labels to be placed on students' paper and pencil answer documents for all students pre-identified by 5 p.m. on February 12th. Barcode labels are required to be placed on each paper and pencil answer document. If a school is testing M-Step online, there will be no barcode label needed for those assessments, but the students still need to be pre-identified on the secure site. Schools will be expected to print any additional barcode labels for students taking a paper and pencil assessment that are pre-identified after February 12th. Just a reminder that barcode labels will be needed for all students taking the SAT, WorkKeys, and PSAT as they are available in paper format only. Students that are taking the M-Step online will need to be placed into an online session on the secure site by 5 p.m. on February 24th. This is the process in grouping students under a test administrator in order to print test tickets and manage online tests. Students will be transferred in their online session to the DRC Insight Portal, formerly known as eDirect, on February 4th, that's February 24th, after 5 p.m., and schools will have access to the DRC Insight Portal on March 6th. Schools will need to continue to pre-identify students directly on the secure site through the end of testing. Students taking the online M-Step will be transferred to the DRC Insight Portal 3 times a day after the initial transfer. New students pre-identified after February 24th, once transferred into DRC Insight Portal, schools will need to put into an online session in the DRC Insight Portal. The secure site will not be available to put students into online sessions after February 24th. If you do not wish to put students into an online session in the secure site, you can wait until after March 6th when the students are transferred and then put them into an online session in the DRC Insight portal. This is at the school's discretion. There are 3 different ways for district and schools to pre-identify additional students on the secure site. One of those ways is to create a pre-ID file and upload it to the secure site. The pre-ID file must be in our required format, and you can find the pre-ID file layout at the bottom of the login page of the secure site before you log in. The pre-ID file must be a text or a CSV file. You may be able to recruit your district pupil accounting person to assist you with the creation of the file. The pre-ID file can be used to submit 1 or more students. At the bottom of the login page, there is also a pre-ID file template. This is an Excel file that is already formatted and set up that you can import or type your student information into. You must use the pre-ID file layout with the template in order to know the format that the data needs to be entered. Once you have your student data in the template, you will need to save it as a CSV file before uploading it to the secure site. If using the pre-ID file, you will need to create a different file for each test period. A test period can contain more than 1 test cycle based on the assessments that are used for accountability. For example, you can create 1 file for the SAT, MyAccess, PSAT 8, and MSTEP, which are all in the 2020 spring test period. All of those assessments are included in accountability and therefore are under 1 test period. This is just a partial screenshot of the pre-ID file layout. As you notice, it will give you the column, the field name, the length of the field, and the data requirements. Notice the ethnicity is a numeric field for this file. The pre-ID file layout document is larger than this, but the fields that are highlighted, which is the basic student information, is all that is required to be in the file. Each field is required to be a part of the file, but you are only required to populate the student data in the highlighted fields. The pre-ID file, the pre-ID template opens in Excel, but don't forget, as I mentioned earlier, it must be saved as a CSV file once you have entered your student data. The fields that are bold are the required fields that must be completed. As you can see, it is basic student information. Don't forget to use the pre-ID file layout document to know how each field should be entered. For example, the student ethnicity is a numeric field. I have been told that some school secretaries will leave the template on their desktop and enter new student information into it as students enroll. Then a few days before the barcode label deadline, they will upload the file to the secure site. After the barcode label deadline, they will continue to enter new students and then upload the file a few days before testing to print barcode labels and for MSTEP students to be transferred to the DRC Insight portal, the online management system. Once you have created a file in the required format or have completed the template, you will need to upload it to the secure site. Under the Assessment Registration menu, hover over Pre-ID, then click on Pre-ID Students. From the Pre-ID method box, select File Upload. You will need to select the test period. Refer to slide 13 if you forgot which assessments are included in a test period. You will need to select your ISD and district and the file that you are uploading. Click the Upload button at the bottom right when you are ready to submit your file. After you have submitted your pre-ID file, you will want to verify that the file uploaded and that there were no errors. To do this, go to the Assessment Registration menu, hover over the pre-ID, and click on Pre-ID File Upload Results. You will need to select the test period, ISD, and the district, and then click the Search button at the bottom right. A list of files that have been submitted will display along with the status of the file and details. The file may take a few minutes to load depending on how many files were uploaded ahead of your file. The screen will refresh to update every few seconds. If it indicates that the file has errors, you can click on the View Errors link and it will give you a list of the errors. From the errors page, you can download the file that contains only the errors with the records with the errors, fix the errors, and reload that file. If the file has more than 50 errors, no records from the file will be uploaded to the secure site. Another method to pre-identify students on the secure site is to do them one at a time through the student search. It takes about 2 minutes or less per student if you have the information available. From the Student Assessments menu, click on Student Search. I suggest that you search by UIC number, or if that is not available, you can search by student information. When searching by student information, you can enter a partial or a full last name and a partial or full first name, if needed to find the student. Click the search button at the bottom right. Find the student from the list under the search results and click on the student's name. This will take you to the student summary page that will give you some basic information on the student. Use this information to verify that this is the correct student. It's amazing how many students in the state of Michigan have the same name and same date of birth or very similar. If this is the correct student, click on the Pre-ID Student button. This will take you to the student's demographic page. Select the test cycle, ISD, district, school, and grade level for the student. Public schools cannot select any of the student demographics such as English learner, special education, economically disadvantaged, and so on. Student demographics will be populated overnight from MSDS. If the student is a homeschool student, make sure to click HS to identify the student as a homeschooled student. This will keep the student scores out of the district and school summary reports. In the Content Areas Selected section at the bottom of the page, you can enter reporting and research codes for the student if desired. Since the SAT, WorkKeys, and PSAT are only available on paper, the test mode for those content areas will be marked as paper and pencil. However, if you are assigning the M-STEP assessment and the student will be taking the paper and pencil test instead of online, you will need to select paper and pencil for the content areas to ensure that the appropriate materials are ordered for the student. After you are done, click on the Save button at the bottom right. The final way to pre-identify students is the MSDS Copy function on the OEA secure site. It's important to note that the data will be from the Fall MSDS General Collection, which is the Fall Student Count Day. This is the same data that OEAA used to pre-identify students for schools. MSDS Copy is only beneficial if a district submits enrollment information in MSDS for students through the student record maintenance files on a regular basis. If this is the case, then you can easily copy those new students into the secure site for pre-identification. You may want to check with your district MSDS person, usually the district pupil accounting person, to determine how often they submit new student enrollment in MSDS. MSDS Copy is not available for non-public schools. To access MSDS Copy, go to the Assessment Registration menu, hover over the Pre-ID, and then click on Pre-ID Students. In the Pre-ID Method box, select MSDS Copy. Select the ISD, district, school, and grade. This would be based on the student data that was last submitted in MSDS. Click the Search button at the bottom right. Filtering students by special education or English learner may not be beneficial for pre-identification to SAT, WorkKeys, PSAT, and M-STEP, but can be for My Access and the WIDA Access. Your search results will include students that are showing as enrolled in MSDS in the school and the grade level that you selected. Just above the student listing, a new section called Select Destination Information opens up. From this section, you will need to select the destination test cycle and the destination grade. The destination grade should be the same grade that you searched for the student, since we are using the 2019-2020 school year data from MSDS. You can go through and select the students from the list that you wish to copy into the secure site for pre-identification. Once you have your students selected, click the Submit button at the bottom right. This will create a pre-ID file of the students selected and upload them into the secure site. You will want to verify that the file loaded correctly without errors. You can verify the file on the pre-ID file upload results page that we went through on slide 17. When pre-identifying students to the MME, it's important to remember that you must pre-identify them to all three components of the MME. So that would be the SAT, WorkKeys, and M-STEP. For grade 8, students must be pre-identified to the PSAT 8 and M-STEP. This will ensure that you get the correct barcodes, test materials, and students taking the M-STEP online are transferred into the DRC Insight portal. There is a way to copy students from one test cycle to another test cycle. So for example, if you pre-identify your new students to the SAT, you can then go to the Mass Update Assessments page and as a group copy them into the WorkKeys and then into the M-STEP. For grade 8 students, you can pre-ID them to PSAT 8 and then copy them into the M-STEP. Of course, you can just pre-ID the students to all the appropriate assessments separately through the pre-ID file upload, student search, or MSDS Copy. If you choose to use the Mass Update Assessments page, you can find it under the Student Assessments menu and click on Mass Update Assessments. In the test cycle field, you will need to select the test cycle that the student is already pre-identified to on the secure site. Select the ISD, district, and school. You can filter by grade also to bring back a smaller list of students. Click on the Search button to the bottom right. In the search results selection that opens, you will select Copy to Different Test Cycle from the Mass Update Type dropdown. From the Copy to Test Cycle dropdown, you will select the test cycle that you wish to copy the students to. This will allow you to copy students from one test cycle to another. Don't worry, it doesn't remove them from the original test cycle, it just copies them. You will need to select the student records that you wish to copy and click the Save button at the bottom right. Once students are pre-identified either by OEAA or by the school, they will appear on the pre-ID student report. You will want to use this report to ensure that all students are pre-identified to the appropriate assessments. You can download the pre-ID student report into an Excel spreadsheet and delete columns or add columns to help with organizing the assessment. I have heard of some schools that use it to check off the return of paper and pencil materials to make sure that they return every answer document. Others will use it as attendance sheets for students to sign in and for creating a testing schedule. To access the pre-ID student report, you will go to the Assessment Registration menu, hover over Pre-ID, and then click on Pre-ID Student Report. From the search screen, you will select the test period or test cycle, ISD, district, and school. If you are a district user, you are not required to select a school and can bring up a district list. Don't forget, a test period includes multiple test cycles. So if you select Spring 2020 from the test period dropdown, it will bring up a combined list of students assigned to take the SAT, M-STEP, PSAT 8, and My Access. If you view the report this way, don't forget you will need to access the 2020 WorkKeys and 2020 PSAT for PSAT 9 and 10 also. You can also filter your report by online or paper and pencil testing. This would only apply to M-STEP and My Access since the other assessments we are talking about are paper and pencil only. Once you have made your selections, click on the Search button to the bottom right. The list of students will be based on the selections from the search criteria. The pre-ID report will display student information along with each content area or assessment the student is assigned to based on the test period or test cycle that was selected. When reviewing the report, if you see a student that will not be testing in the assessment that was searched, select the student and click on the Unassigned button at the bottom right. This will unassign the student from the test and they will fall off the pre-ID report. It's important to know that unassigning a student does not remove a student from accountability. Unassigning a student only means that they will not be testing. If a student moves, they should be exited in MSDS to remove them from accountability calculations. All paper and pencil answer documents must have a barcode label on it for scoring. Answer documents without a barcode label may not be scored or could be associated with the incorrect student or school. As mentioned earlier, barcode labels will be printed and shipped to schools for students that are pre-identified on the secure site by 5 p.m. on February 12th. Schools will need to print barcode labels from the secure site for students that are pre-ID'd after February 12th, and for students that you did not receive a barcode label for, or to replace barcode labels that have been damaged. It is important to note that there's a different barcode label for each assessment. This means that students taking the MME will have a unique barcode label for the SAT, a unique barcode label for the WorkKeys, and a unique barcode label for the M-STEP, Science, and Social Studies. The assessment name will be printed on the barcode label to help you ensure that the correct one gets on the correct answer document. To print barcode labels from the assessment registration menu, click on Barcode Labels. You will need to select the test cycle, ISD, district, and school. You can use the additional filters if you feel it would be beneficial in your search. The pre-ID after date is a great feature. This will allow you to enter the February 12th date and bring up all students that were pre-identified after the February 12th deadline. Once you have made your selections, click on the search button at the bottom right. A list of students will come up that match your selections. You can select all or select some of the students from the list. You can select the starting position for the labels. So for example, if you have already used a sheet of labels to print 2 labels, you can start on position 3 to continue to use the remaining labels. You can select the number of copies that you would like printed. When printing labels for M-STEP, you can select 2 to ensure that you get a label for the Science and the Social Studies answer document. Once you have made your selections, ensure that you have the correct labels in the printer. You should be using an Avery 5161 or 5961, which is a 1x4 inch label with 2 columns and 22 a page. When you are ready, click on the Print Barcode Labels button at the bottom right. A box will pop up with barcode printing instructions to ensure that your barcode print correctly on the labels. After you have read the instructions, click OK. Adobe will open with the barcode labels. If it does not open, please make sure that you have pop-up blockers disabled for the site. In the Adobe document, click the printer icon and then follow the instructions that came up in the previous pop-up. If the instructions are followed and the correct labels are used, you should have no problem with the barcode labels. Now that we have pre-identified our students, let's talk about how the testing materials will be ordered. For SAT and PSAT 8/9 and PSAT 10, the standard materials will be based on the number of students that are pre-identified on the secure site by 5 p.m. on February 12th. Accommodated materials will be sent based on the submissions in the College Board SSD system. You can view the number of standard materials that will be ordered for the school from the initial material order page of the secure site. The initial material order page will show the full number of students pre-ID'd. You cannot see the accommodated materials ordered on the secure site, but only in the SSD online system. College Board will subtract the number of accommodated orders from the standard material order once they have received the order after February 12th. It is important to ensure that every student that is enrolled on February 12th has been pre-identified to ensure that you get the right amount of testing materials for the initial day of testing. We know that there is an influx of students, so there will be an opportunity to order additional materials from the additional material order page on the secure site, March 27th through April 7th. These are additional materials for the initial day of testing, not for makeup testing. Makeup materials for the SAT will be ordered directly from College Board April 14th through April 16th. SAT test coordinators listed in the EEM will receive an email with instructions just prior to the order date. This is a short window and materials cannot be ordered after April 16th for the makeup testing, so you might want to mark it on your calendar so you don't miss it. For the PSAT assessments, there are no separate makeup materials. You will use the initial day materials for makeup testing if needed. You can order additional initial day testing materials for PSAT April 14th through April 16th also. The standard materials for WorkKeys will be based on the number of students pre-identified on the secure site by 5 p.m. on February 12th. You do not have to submit requests for approval to ACT for accommodated versions. If you need accommodated versions based on a student's IEP, then you can enter the order directly on the initial material order page of the secure site by 5 p.m. on February 12th. The number of accommodated materials that you order will reduce your standard material order by that amount. It is important to have all of your students pre-identified by 5 p.m. on February 12th to ensure that you have the correct amount of materials for testing. You can view the initial material order that includes both standard and accommodated tests on the initial material order page of the secure site. If needed, you can order additional standard and accommodated materials for the WorkKeys from the additional material order page on the secure site March 23rd through April 7th. Makeup tests for WorkKeys will also be ordered from the additional material order page on the secure site, but not until April 15th through April 16th. No orders for makeup materials can be placed after April 16th. So again, with a short window, you might want to mark your calendar so you don't miss it. The M-STEP initial standard materials will be based on the students that are pre-identified by 5 p.m. on February 12th and that are marked as paper and pencil testing. Remember on slide 21, I showed you how to mark an M-STEP student as taking the paper and pencil test rather than online. You can order accommodated versions of the test from the initial material order page on the secure site. If you are ordering Braille or enlarged print, you will be required to select the student that will be using the Braille or enlarged print. The standard material order will continue to be updated based on pre-ID of students. However, if you enter an order for an accommodated test and you save it, that will save the full order and the standard materials will no longer continue to update based on pre-ID. If you need more standard materials after the order is saved, you can go in and manually adjust the standard material order and save it up until 5 p.m. on February 12th. If you need additional materials after the initial order deadline, you will have an opportunity to order additional standard and accommodated tests from the additional material order page of the secure site, April 7th through April 28th. There are no separate tests for the makeup testing for M-STEP. To access the initial and additional material order page on the secure site, go to the Assessment Registration menu, hover over Material Orders, and click on either Initial Material Orders or Additional Material Orders. Select the test cycle, ISD, district, and school from the drop-downs. If you are a district-level user, you are not required to select a school. Click the Search button at the bottom right of the Search Criteria section. The list of schools will come up based on your search. To view or create an order, click on the Create Order button. If it is a saved order or you have view-only access, the link will say it will say View Order. Even though material orders are based on the number of students pre-identified, you should still always check the initial material order for accuracy and to verify the shipping address. For SAT, PSAT, and WorkKeys, tests will always be shipped to the school. For MSTEP, a district-level user can select that materials be sent to the schools or to the district. It is important to note that the selection for one school will apply to all schools. If you select district, then all initial test materials for MSTEP would be sent to the district office for all schools in the district. The selection will default to school just in case a selection is not made. For any of the assessments, if the test coordinator and address in the address field is incorrect, this should be corrected in the EEM by the authorized district EEM user by the February 12th deadline. If you don't know who that is, you can find their name and contact information on the district and school contact page of the secure site. Again, even though the standard materials are based on the pre-identification of students, I still advise you to verify this just to make sure you are getting the materials that you need. Just a reminder that you will need to enter orders for accommodated materials for WorkKeys and MSTEP on the initial material order page. If something unexpected happens during testing, in most cases you will want to submit an incident report on the secure site. The incident report function on the secure site is not used for ACT or College Board assessments. You will want to follow instructions in their manuals for reporting any incidents. For MSTEP, you would want to submit an incident report to request a new test, whether it be paper and pencil or online, to report a student that will be resuming testing for paper and pencil, reporting test irregularities and misadministrations, or to have a test marked as prohibited behavior. You can find more details about when an incident report should be submitted in the MSTEP Test Administration Manual. To access the incident report, go to the Student Assessments menu and click on Incident Reports. Before you can enter a new incident report, you must first perform a search. Select the test cycle, ISD, district, school, and click the search button at the bottom right. If you are looking for an incident report that has already been completed for a student, you can include the student's name or UIC number in your search. The search results will bring up incident reports that have already been created for the test cycle, which can be viewed. To create a new incident report, click on the Create Incident Report button at the bottom right. On this page, note that your information should be populated automatically as the requester. The phone number and email address is taken from your MEES account. You can enter an email address of another staff person you would like notified of the incident in the CC email field, or you can leave it blank. The contact title, name, phone, and email should populate with the district level assessment coordinator from the EEM that will also receive a notice of the incident report that is being filed. As you start to answer the questions on the incident report, additional questions or options will open or change and guide you through submitting your incident report. Please make sure to provide as much detail as you can so that we can get this resolved for you and the student as quickly as possible. You have the ability to attach a document to support your report if you feel that it is needed or appropriate. I want to point out the Save and the Save and Submit buttons at the bottom right of the screen. If you click Save, this will save the incident report and allow you to go back into it and update additional information. This does not submit the report to OEAA. Once the report is complete, you will need to click Save and Submit. Once you click Save and Submit, you can no longer make changes to the incident report and it will be submitted to OEAA for review. One of the most important things that I consider one of the most important functions on the secure site is the accountable students and test verification process. There are 3 functions to this process. In May, you will have the opportunity to verify enrollment from MSDS in the secure site for accountability purposes. In late May or June, schools will have the ability to verify the receipt of answer documents by the scoring contractor. This is for online and paper and pencil tests. And in June, schools will have the opportunity to provide a reason why a student did not test. The verification of accountable students enrolled and demographics will be a list of students from the Michigan Student Data System that we are showing as enrolled in the school and will be included in accountability calculations. This list will also include the students' demographics, that will be used for assessment and accountability reporting, such as special education, economically disadvantaged, and so on. This list will be based on the fall and spring MSDS general collections and student record maintenance files that have been submitted in MSDS. This will be the last opportunity to update MSDS for assessment and accountability reporting. You will need to work closely with your district MSDS person. Don't know who that is? Again, you can look for their name and contact information on the district and school contact page of the secure site. The list of students will only include the grades used in accountability. So it will be grades 3 through 8, 11, and some grade 12 that are required to test. Grade 9 and 10 are not included in accountability, so you will not need to update MSDS for assessment and accountability purposes for those two grades. On the answer documents received and not tested function, you will have the opportunity to verify that each test that was taken is accounted for, both online and paper and pencil. This will be the only opportunity to report a missing test, view tests that may be invalidated, that may be able to be fixed, and to appeal any incorrect, prohibited behavior or non-standard accommodation designations for the MSTEP. The answer documents received will be available for all assessments, so the SAT, the PSAT 8/9, PSAT 10, WorkKeys, and MSTEP. Schools will also be asked to submit reasons why a student did not test. This is needed for possible accountability exemptions and also is required for other federal reporting. This is only needed for grades that are included in accountability, so that would be grades 3 through 8, 11, and again, some required grade 12 students. Grade 9 and 10 are not included in accountability, so you will not need to submit a not tested reason why those students did not test. Even though it seems like a long way off, there are things that you can do ahead of time to ensure that the verification processes are quick and easy, especially since it is at the end of the school year. Let your student pupil accounting person know that OEAA will be pulling student enrollment, exits, and demographics for accountability and assessment reporting in June. It's important to inform them that we only will be using student data with an as-of date on or before May 29th, 2020. The deadline to update MSDS data will be in June, but again, we will only use data with an as-of date on or before May 29th. OEAA will not use the MSDS end-of-year collection for student enrollment and demographics, so SRM files will need to be submitted to update student information. Watch for the June deadline and additional information about this in the spotlight this spring. Districts do not have to wait to update MSDS until the OEAA review period. SRMs can be submitted after the spring MSDS general collection through the end of testing. This would ensure that student data is updated for assessment and accountability reporting. Make sure to get a copy of the Best Practices MSDS Reporting Guide for Trouble-Free Accountability Data to your district MSDS user. It can be found at www.michigan.gov/securesitetraining. Ask teachers to keep track of students that did not test with the reason why they did not test and turn it into a centralized person. It will be needed when verifying answer documents received to know if a student did test or if they did not test, and if they did not, what reason to submit why the student did not test. Again, not tested reasons would not be needed for grades 9 and 10 because they are not included in accountability. You can find supporting documents for each of the functions mentioned at www.michigan.gov/securesitetraining. You can also email mde-oeaa@michigan.gov with any assessment and also secure site questions. Also, feel free to contact our secure site call center at 877-560-8378 and select option 3 from the phone menu. I hope that this has helped you to prepare for the spring 2020 testing season. Thank you.